Hello, everybody. All right, let's start. So at this time, you're expecting everybody is logged in. Welcome to the Team Dynamics training. My name is Jamil Bey, and this is Marcus here. He's actually from Team Dynamics application team. He's going to be giving us a tutorial on Team Dynamics. Hopefully, this will be very educational to you, and at the same time, I believe entertaining. Speaking of entertaining, we wanted to show you a couple of videos in this training. One of the videos is an overview of work management. Patty discussed this in her previous town hall meeting, how we are going to adapt Team Dynamics, how Team Dynamics is going to help us manage our work. So as part of the overview of that, let's look at this video and we'll dive into the training right after.
Hi, this is Work Management Strategy of the IT Department in Broward College. We want to enhance our work management process by providing our team a holistic view of their assignments so that they may focus on work. Let's start by looking at the types of work that the IT department actually executes. First, we think of projects as big rocks. A project manager is assigned to orchestrate the execution of this work. Next, we think of operations as keeping the lights on type of work within the department. This type of work is typically assigned by a manager. And lastly, we service our customers via help desk. This work is usually assigned as tickets. As we saw, work comes to us from different channels and may be organized in different ways. Without proper technology, managing this work may become increasingly difficult. We utilize Team Dynamics to organize all our work in one place, enabling us to assign, status, and report work just in a few clicks.
All right. Is this thing on? Yes. All right. Good afternoon, everyone. As Jill said, my name is Marcus Demas. We're here to deliver a technician training. The scope of this training is to empower you to be able to use the system, find your work, manage your work, close your work out, things of that nature. Okay? Just a few thoughts before we get started. I almost maybe regret saying this in the first session, but I'll still say it in this one because there were so many great questions. Obviously, they were really good. And I do like questions. So if you have them, just raise your hand. I'll call on you. We were blessed with a large number, but still very good questions in the first session. So if you're thinking it, someone else is thinking it. If you need to see something again, or it's just not making sense the way I'm delivering it, the goal is to transfer this knowledge to you all. And if I'm not doing that, please just let me know, and I can try and adapt. Okay. Also, the training is going to kind of be broken out into these sort of major categories of your types of work. Okay? So there's going to be the projects app, which is going to be where we're going to manage projects. There's a separate training for project managers on Thursday morning that I'll be delivering with Jamil. Okay? There's also going to be operational work, such as keeping the lights on, right? Ops. And that actually is also managed in the same app as the projects app, right? So those will be in one space for you. And then we also have service customers via tickets, the ticket type work that we get, break fix, service request, things like that. That's going to be managed in the tickets app. So I'm going to show you, if you were sort of to draw a line here, this is its own separate app. These two items here, the move big rocks and the keep lights on, are its own separate app. And then just to speak presciently about what's coming towards the end of the training, all of these items are pulled in to what's called the My Work app. Okay? So, for someone who works on projects, who works on tickets, you may be a little worried, okay, how do I know what project work I have out there, what operational work I have out there, what tickets I have out there. There's a bunch of different ways, and I'm going to show you a lot of those ways. But at the end of the day, if that's really all you're looking to find out is what am I assigned in different areas, that's where the My Work app will come in And personally, that's my favorite app in Team Dynamics. Because of that very thing, it delivers all of those things to you without any extra effort. But if you find that for whatever reason that view doesn't work for you, maybe you still like the way it looks, there's searching, there's reporting, there's desktop dashboards, things like that that can fill maybe a need more specifically for you. Okay. So we're actually going to start in the desktop area first. So all we've done thus far is we've gone to helpdesk.browser.edu/TDX. Okay. This is going to be your URL, moving forward. So bookmark that, email it to yourself, write it down, whatever you need to do. I'm sure it will be posted on an intranet or something at some point, and that's where we go to sign in with our normal credentials. And once we do so successfully, we'll be dumped into this app here, what's known as the desktop app. Okay? So one second, let me reholster the mic. All right. So I arrived here in the desktop app. What is the desktop app? It's think of this as like a dashboard. Sorry?
Are you supposed to be here in that page?
Yes. So when you sign in, this is exactly where you should be. So unless you went elsewhere, you should all be here on this spot.
But it's going to be empty for them.
But most likely it's going to be empty, but you're going to be in the desktop app. Okay, are you in the desktop app?
Can we get to it now?
You may
desktop.
You may not see this pretty chart.
Just look at the top and just make sure the top has special names.
So if you authenticate in, you should absolutely be here in this spot. You may not see this content, but you should be here on the desktop. Raise your hand if you're not there.
Yeah, your desktop might be empty. It'll say, welcome to Team Dynamics Desktop. Team Dynamics Desktop gives you ability, blah, blah, blah.
Okay, so we're there.
All right, so everyone's there. Okay? So that's how it will work for everyone. You log in, boom, desktop app. Okay? Now, you see some content here on, I'm actually logged in as Jimmy. You see some content here on Jimmy's screen, and maybe you want a similar desktop, maybe you want something that's very different. You can decide. So if you see verbiage that says, click here to configure your desktop, click on that, click here. Okay? So click on the click here. If you don't see that verbiage and you see something like this, click on the new desktop button. Both will take you to the same place. Okay, so if you click on click here, or you click on new desktop, you arrive here on this new desktop screen. Okay? This is where you can actually name your desktop. So, I might say Technician Desktop for mine. Okay? You can name it whatever you like, but I'm going to say Technician Desktop for me. Okay? And then go ahead and hit save. Okay. Once you hit save, you're going to be presented with the desktop editor screen. Now, on the left there are all the things that you have access to. Okay. So you may see more or less than what I see, just depends on your level of access. But when you expand those items on the left, there are panels or widgets underneath that you can then drag over to your desktop. So for example, if I were to come down to my work, okay, I click my work and I drag over my assignments, okay, let's say in the column 1, right, that content will then display right there on my desktop. Now, you see the picture there underneath edit layout. It says, there's 1 and there's 2. Those numbers correspond to the columns you see over to the right. Okay. So right now, it's just a 50-50 distribution. If you want, you can actually change that by hitting edit layout, and you can get some different distributions for your desktop. For me, 50-50 is plenty fine. Okay. So I have my assignments here in column 1. In column 2, maybe I want to close my work and go down into tickets. I expand tickets, and maybe I want to see, let's say, my submitted tickets. So that's going to be all the tickets that I put in, and let's say stick that in column 2. Okay. Another one that I like the open tickets chart, maybe you stick that in column 1. Okay. And then a couple others that may be useful for you. If you scroll down, you'll see a bunch of them. You can drag any of these over that you like. But I think the tickets needing response is pretty helpful, and the tickets needing resolution. Anytime you hear response and resolution in team dynamics, it's probably having to do with SLAs. What are SLAs? SLAs are service level agreements. What are service level agreements? They are essentially clocks that are ticking behind the scenes to track how quickly we're managing these different types of tickets. And that is tracked during operational time. So that is, say, was it 8 to 5 or 8 to 4? Is Jimmy in here?
Yes, 8 to 4. 8 to 4.
8 to 4 is the clock Monday through Friday. So if someone puts in a ticket at midnight, but they put it in on Sunday afternoon, the clock's not ticking because we're not really here. Right? We're going to talk a little bit more about SLAs a little later, but that's why you're seeing response and resolution. Now let's say this is the content that I want. Okay? I'm going to hit save here. You're going to see red changes saved. All right? Now I'm going to close this desktop screen out. I'm going to edit desktop screen, and we'll close it out. And if you're impatient like me, then you're just going to hit the refresh button top left, and then you'll see your desktop reflected on your screen. Okay? Now, if you were like me and you already had a desktop, then if you hit refresh, it's not going to render because that was at least your second desktop. Okay, so what that means is I need to go over to my drop-down to the right and find the desktop that I just created. Okay? And you can have more than one desktop. So if you created just one, the drop-down probably just has one option. If you have several, you'll see this sort of interface here. And you can just choose the appropriate desktop, and then it'll render there for you. Okay, so you can have as many of these as you want. If you work on projects heavily as well as tickets heavily, you may want a desktop for each stop. Okay? Or maybe you want one desktop that pulls in both of those areas. It's up to you. Now, these are pretty useful in and of themselves. We have our open tickets chart, all the tickets that I've put in, my assignments, things like that. When this starts to become really powerful is when you have what are called searches and custom reports, which are essentially queries that you as technicians can create, as many as you want, and then add these back onto the desktop. So, for example, a very common search or report that you may want to create is, show me all the tickets for me in my area, right? Maybe I'm a part of group, the applications team, right? So I want to see any of the tickets or anything like that that are assigned to me or my group. You can create that, and I'm going to show you how to create reports a little later on. Okay? Once we create them, we can then drag them over onto this desktop so that right when we log in, I'm seeing the report of me and my area's tickets. Right? That's what I want. Okay? Any questions about the desktop app? It's important to understand that the desktop app inside, this desktop here that we just interacted with, can pull in any of these three major types of work. It can pull in big rock projects, it can pull on operational keep the lights on, and it can pull in the tickets, the three major categories. Great. Any questions about the desktop app? All right, so I'm gonna sort of take a sidestep for a minute and talk about what I'm going to call the look and feel of Team Dynamics. Just some small but very important details, such as the applications menu. So some people call it the tile menu, the stylish blue box, the applications menu. It has a myriad of names. When you click on it, you're going to see all the apps that you have access to. So again, you might see more or less than what I see. Just depends on kind of where you're at in the institution. Okay? But I want everyone to click on their apps menu, and I want everyone to try and find IT Service Desk, and then raise your hand when you find it. Keep your hand raised. Hopefully everybody does. So apps menu, IT Service Desk. Looks like everybody's got it. Okay, awesome. Right. Up above that, you have just a link out to your homepage for your convenience. Kind of moving over towards the right-hand side of your screen, here you have what's called a to-do list. So think of these as like little sticky notes for yourself. There are other ways that work can get assigned to you by your manager or by yourself. But this is kind of helpful. I use these all the time. And think of these as virtual sticky notes. It's just that. Okay, so just a little reminder or a little to-dos you have to do. Right now, I need to train these fine people, you all. That's what's on my to-do list. And at some point, I might check that item off or just trash it and get rid of it. We're going to skip over chat. You guys have Link. I think the idea is to continue to use Link. There is a little chat in here for inter-TD communication. Really quite simple and easy to use. I'm not going to spend any time on it. To the right of that, you should see your name. Okay? So again, I'm logged in as Jimmy. When I click on that, I could click into my profile. I could add a profile pic. I could sign out of the application when I'm done at the end of the day. If that's what I wanted. Okay, that kind of thing. Okay. All right. Any questions or concerns about anything we've covered thus far? All right. So I want everyone to go to their applications menu, their stylish blue box, whatever you like to call it. Okay. Click on that and find IT Service Desk. Okay. Click on that tile. When you do that, you're going to pop into this area here. Okay. Now, once you open the app, much like a tab in a browser, it will sort of be sticky up here at the top region of this page. Okay, so once you open it, you don't have to reopen it every time. It'll remember it. If that's the order that you want and those are the apps you want to use, just leave them open and then you can just click right into them here. Okay. Since for most of you it's probably your first time, you have to go through the app menu. Now, just to reinforce this concept, what we're focusing on here in this app is this category here. So in this section of the training, what we're focusing on is the serving service customers, ticketing, that kind of thing. Okay? And we'll be spending a decent amount of time here, and then we're going to start focusing on the projects and ops stuff a little later. Okay? All right, so I arrive in the Tickets app, and we see the desktop here inside my Tickets app. Marcus, what does that mean? I thought we just configured our desktop. Is that redundant? What's going on here? Okay. So the desktop inside the Tickets app can only pull in ticket-centric information. Okay. So if I click on the click here inside the Tickets desktop, I'm only going to see on the left-hand side ticketing-related info. Okay. Whereas, again, the desktop app on the whole over here can pull in project work, operational work, tickets, things like that. Okay. So this desktop inside the Tickets app, you can configure it to be whatever you want. That you could build something similar to what we started with. It's entirely up to you. And you'll see the same GUI that we just saw, so I'm not going to spend any more time on that. Now, below desktop, we have this groups page. So these are all of the major teams in your environment. Okay. Obviously, we can control this list. If you see a big goof, let Jimmy and or Cindy know, and we can get that fixed. Now, I want to specifically point out this article because I think it could be pretty helpful. This is actually available on your Client Portal right now. So what we have here is a KB kind of explaining the different support groups and what that group will typically cover as far as their tickets. Okay? So we have client computing. This is typically what they cover: customer service, so on and so forth. Okay? This KB corresponds to this list here. Okay? So this is available over on the Client Portal. Don't attempt to follow me there. I'm going to show you this area a little later. But I want you to specifically point out that this is indeed here. So you may want to bookmark that or email it to yourself, however you want to manage it. Okay. So think of this as like a directory here of a few different areas. So now I'm going to arrive into what I'm going to call home base. Or you could call it like a safe zone. So if you ever play tag or freeze tag or capture flag or anything, right, there's usually like a safe zone or a home base you can get to, and it's a relatively safe area. This is that into the dynamic description. So you click here, you're going to see all the open tickets in your environment. Okay. Now this is pretty helpful. You get an idea of what's going on. Are there any big, a bunch of issues coming in, things like that. But after you arrive here, you see there are 16 tickets. Maybe that's not that helpful for you. Maybe there's 16 tickets that are open, but I want to see maybe my group's tickets, or maybe someone's calling me and I need to find their tickets quickly. Right? How do I do that? How do I filter down this list of 16 tickets to something perhaps more meaningful to myself? And that can be accomplished by clicking on the filter button over on the right-hand side. So I click the filter, and when I click on that, this thing kind of expands out to the left, and we have a cornucopia of fields that we can interact with here to try and narrow down the data. So the text search, right? That's going to search the title, the ticket, the body, the fee, right, for keywords. Right? You have the requester. Okay? So perhaps you're looking for tickets for a specific person. Maybe, maybe you want to find, my example, I want to find myself in that list, right? To find any tickets in which that person has requested. I could type that person's name in here. I could also click the lookup, and I'll see a big long list, and I can find people on this list as well. We can search by the account department, the ticket type, which is sort of like the nature of the event. You can search by status. So right now, by default, it's just pulling in essentially any of the open tickets. Renew, in process, on hold, things like that. Maybe that works for me, maybe not. I can select all. I can do whatever I want there. I can search by responsibility. I can search by priority. By who changed it and when, who changed the status and when, who closed it and when, SLAs, more requester info. I think we get the idea. So we have a bunch of different opportunities to try and narrow down this list. So all I've done with this filter, relatively basic. I've just put myself in as the requester, and I've done essentially all the status. Okay? Let's see what returns. So I come up here, I hit apply. Okay? So there are 2 tickets that match my search. Maybe that's a little bit more meaningful. I went from 16 to 2. Now I feel a little bit more comfortable engaging with some of these tickets. Now let's say that I happen to know Marcus is particularly annoying. Always calling about his dang tickets, right? What if I don't want to have to recreate this search every time? What if I know he calls me, once a week, every day? I want to actually save this search so that I can reapply it later. That can be done by hitting Save Search here. You can then name that search. So you might say annoying Marcus 6. Right? Now, some of you may see this global flag. What that means is, can this search be available for everyone? So there may be some searches, like maybe you're looking to, essentially exclude any tickets that come in from Lauren, right? I don't want to work any tickets that come from him. That's going to be a search that will make global for everybody, right? No laughs at all. Come on, he's sitting right there. It's funny. Right? So, do you want that search to be global? Everyone in that app can engage with it. You make the decision. In this case, I'm going to say no. I'm not going to mark it global. I know that Marcus only calls me about his tickets. It wouldn't really be helpful for anybody else. So then I can hit save, and this query will be in there for me. Now, I've actually created a similar search, so I'm not going to actually hit save, but when I click around and I go back to my searches, we see that there's a similar search here. So I can create that search, save that search, and then reapply that search. Okay. And then as promised, this search can then be made available on desktop. So if I come back here to desktop and I edit it, right here you see that annoying open Marcus 6 search that we were just looking at, right? So right on my desktop, I see that search. Okay? We can do a similar thing with what's called a custom report. I'm going to show you that a little later on in the training. So for the baked-in values for desktops don't work for us, we can create custom search. Does anybody know if I can get rid of this? Or maybe just move it over here. Kept covering up my clothes. So I'm going to click back into home base. We have our filter, save search, reapply that search. You can create as many of those as you need to. Now moving down here, you have a couple baked-in items. So tickets assigned to me, me being Jimmy. You have things like awaiting my review, awaiting my approval. It has to do with ticket workflows, things like that. You would have gotten an email previously if you were to see things in those particular searches. So I'm going to skip down into incidents, and I want to talk a little bit about what these different labels mean. So ticket, an incident, an issue, a problem, and service request, those are not all the same thing. In the ITIL world, the information technology refers to a library, they're meant to be very separate. Okay? So an incident, by definition, is a disruption to work or an IT service. Okay? So something like, I can't connect to a Wi-Fi. Right? So you guys offer a service to the broader campus of Wi-Fi, right? And someone can't connect to it. That's a disruption. We have an incident to fix or amend that or reinstate that service. So we have, potentially millions of different examples of incidents, right? And then problems are, by definition, the cause of one or more incidents. So if you had one incident ticket, someone in here who can't connect to Wi-Fi, probably not a big deal. We need to reset that phone or reset that person's password. Probably not a big deal. Let's say, we had 30 incident tickets, all in 10 minutes from the same room, saying people couldn't connect to the Wi-Fi. That's a little bit more interesting, right? There's probably a real problem at work here. Or we may want to open a separate problem ticket. The network switch in here is down, or something got unplugged, or a wire was damaged. Okay? So we can roll up these incident tickets into a problem ticket, and then we can update that problem ticket here, and it'll update all the children ticket down below. So let's say you had 30 email phishing scam tickets come in. Right? You can create a problem to track, and then hopefully cut off that phishing scan. And you could, of course, go in and individually close those 30 tickets. But you probably don't want to do that. You probably would, using your filtering and or hitting select all here and or just grabbing, let's say tickets 1, 3, and 4, and you can hit actions, create problem, and then roll all those items up into a problem, and then close that problem up later. As someone very prudently asked in the first session, whose job is that? Who should be managing, rolling all these things up, things like that. In the ITIL world, it's very much meant to be done by the service desk. But I think a lot of you, if not all of you, have the ability to do that. So if you're noticing, a trend, you see, there's 30 tickets coming in because something happened with, a server or something like that, right? I think, and you have that knowledge. I think it's worth rolling those incidents up into a problem and then tracking the problem separately. No, I have not been neglecting service requests. It's just that those are kind of the grease band. Those are kind of the catch-all in the ITIL world for the other major category of tickets, which is service fulfillment. So let's say, an office move is a classic example, right? It's not that anything necessarily broken. It's not break fix. It's just I have an office here, and I don't know what all those wires do. I just need you to move it over to here and get me set up so I can work, right? Or perhaps, installing software onto a laptop would be another classic example. It's not that, anything's broken, but I really would like Visio on my computer because that would really help me visualize and better prepare, diagram out my work with the team. That would be a service request. Now, when in doubt, think incident. That's almost always 70+% of everyone's tickets. So when you're creating these tickets, you will have to decide which one you're picking, but when in doubt, choose incident. We can always change it later if you have the proper permissions. It's not written in stone, it's not going to kill the system or anything if you accidentally categorize something as one or the other.
incidents rather than problems?
I want to answer that as soon as I figure out who asked it. Oh, okay, I didn't see it. Yes, so yes, exactly. So incidents sort of roll up into problems, and then you can then close out that problem. Now did someone say there's more to it?
No, I'm saying that's if there's more than one, if they have three of the same issues going on.
Yeah.
That would be a problem.
Yeah, probably, right. Yeah, you have a larger chunk of these items, roll them up into a problem. Now, there are a few other levels, so it's incident, problem, change, release. There's actually 2 other levels. We're just not using them as of now. We're not there yet, or we just don't need them at this moment. Do you have a thought?
Yeah, we really are doing the problems for like our Randstad or Cindy or some of the higher level admins in case like website goes down, we get like 30 tickets. They're gonna highlight all 30 tickets and say this is one problem. And then part of escalating to a problem would be also sending a text alert out saying, hey, we have an outage. Problems are going to be high-level outages. Our campus down, something that affects the entire institution. So those will also be teamed up also with a text alert and some follow-through. So when you close out the problem, it closes out all the incidents too.
So a problem could just be one ticket?
It could, yes. Like if you know the website's going to go down, like we didn't go down, we're not getting tickets yet, I would create a problem, alert everybody, and then what we can do is once there's a problem there, we can also highlight multiple incidents and associate them with that problem as well after the fact. If like you can highlight them.
So we can roll them up here, and if we have the problem ticket already in existence, and there's more incident tickets coming in, right, here's our problem. We have 10 incidents in there right now, but here's 10 more. We can grab those 10 and still put them in that problem hierarchy for a total of 20 incidents underneath. Does that make sense? Sometimes that blows people's minds. Sometimes that's the most basic annoying concept you've ever heard. I'm not exactly sure where we're at here. Okay, it looks like it makes sense. Great. Okay. But notice how we've still not lost the ability to filter, save and search, and reapply that search. So home base here is going to show you all tickets regardless of classification. Notice this column. So if I click on classification, I can reorient and redistribute the results here, and we're going to see all these different classifications. If you want to drill down into a specific classification, you have that ability down below. Okay?
That made it more exciting.
Down below, you have some standard reports that you can use every day. You don't ever have to use them if you don't want. You have ticket aging, the tickets count report. These are just sort of in here for your viewing pleasure if you think they're useful. A lot of the items in Team Dynamics have a blue help KB. Those that you click into this report, you're not really sure what you're looking at, you can click on the help button and it'll give you an idea of what's going on. Now, bottom left, you see that there's a ticket report section. Some of you may see that, some of you may not. What that is all the custom reports you have access to. If you don't see it, it just means you don't yet have a custom report in your area, but you of course could create one either today or another day. And then those will all show up here bottom left. You can come here and just run the report whenever you want to see the results. Okay. So this was a really basic query that I created earlier. It's essentially just all of the open tickets, and you see 15 returned. Okay. All right, so I'm going to click back into home base. Yes, ma'am.
On the groups, are we able to communicate to those groups?
So, so the question is, can I, on this page, communicate directly with somebody with, in that group? And the not via this channel here, but often on tickets you can. So, for example, you're looking to send out a notification about a ticket. Often the group will appear there. You could select the group, and then everyone in that group will get a notification. You do that on the actual ticket. Yeah. Yep. So, so this isn't meant to be like a distribution list kind of thing, but on the ticket you can, from the ticket spring a group notification to let them all know of something. And for example, if you were to reassign a ticket to an entire group, they would all get a notification, automatically. All right, so we'll click back into home base. All right, now we see there are 15 tickets in here. Oh, yes, ma'am.
What's comment like me?
So you're a few steps ahead of me, but real quick, comments. No. It's a good question. It's straight from Facebook, right? It's a like. It's essentially just you liking that particular engagement. So it doesn't do anything other than log a like on it, right? It's just I think kind of a silly little
Do you
thing.
participate by viewing and saying, I like this problem on it?
Maybe, maybe someone's posting the solution to the ticket, and you might just say, you know what, I like that solution, right? And you can click the like button. So it doesn't do much. It's just kind of a Facebook-esque element in here. And for those of you who are wondering, that's on the actual ticket. I'll show you that here in a little bit. Okay. Now, before we do that, we see there are 15 tickets in here. I want to show you how these tickets got in the system. There are two main paths. Cindy, is she here?
Yes,
Where? Oh, there you are.
I'm standing up and I know they're almost as tall as me.
So you had said that email tickets are indeed going away, at least after a certain date. Right?
October 3rd, they will no longer be able to email the help desk.
Yep. So that is going away, and we are going to be bringing these tickets in, and really one of two main paths. Okay, I'm going to show you that main path and the number one most desirable path here right now. So when I hit my applications menu, please follow along. I'm going to find the services app here, okay, and I'm going to arrive at the service catalog. Now, for a lot of people, when they come over to TD Client, so notice the URL, we were in TDX, that's our technician hat, right? We're over here in TD Client, this is sort of the client portal side. And a lot of people will end up on the home page and or the service catalog. From here, they can then engage with these different services and submit tickets, and those tickets will show up in home base. Okay? So, for example, I say I'm an employee, and and I click into this category here, and then we may have subcategories or other services, perhaps an employee name change, right? We have our service description to sort of explain what this service is doing and what's going on. And then someone could come here and click Submit Ticket, and they could actually generate a ticket if my mouse will work. Submit. My computer freeze. You see that image responding to everybody else? There it goes. Submit a ticket. Okay, we have what's called a request form, and specific to each kind of service, we have a form that has very special attributes that we can fill out and actually submit a ticket. Okay. Now, we don't just simply give them the ability to submit tickets. We have the service description here, and we actually have a broader knowledge base as well to try and stave off some of these tickets. Right? It's very expensive to have someone, come in, put in a ticket, wait, someone on this end work it, fulfill it, things like that. It's very expensive to do all that when we could have just written a KB and then made it available, and then have them actually just engage with the KB and solve the problem on their own. Okay. So between the service description here and things like this KB here, right, where we see the support group mappings, we can really do ourselves a huge favor by implementing more of a self-service model. So people can locate these resources and then actually solve the problem on their own. Now, a lot of you, for your respective services, will have the ability to edit a service, as well as create KBs. So let's say you're the name change master here, right? If you go to that service, you should see an edit service button here. When I click edit service, I then have the ability to actually edit the service description. If you own that area and there's no edit button, that's probably a mistake, and Cindy and Jimmy can fix that. Okay?
Yeah, we've been making, as we've been developing services, I've been granting rights to the general group as a whole. So if your group manages those tickets, and those tickets usually get assigned to you, I've been making you the manager. If you're not the manager, and you're supposed to be, drop me an email. If you don't want your whole group as having access to edit this, and just only to one or two, email me too, and I'll change those. So if you need to change those, I mean, me or Cindy or both of us can do that.
So to Jimmy's point, we want you to be able to own the service description, own the KVs, and we want to, there's an immense, even in this very room, there's an immense amount of business knowledge. It can really save us a lot of time and money to share that out with our broader constituency, and just allow them to have their issue be satiated sooner as well, right, and then be happier with some proper documentation. Yes, ma'am.
So we go to employee name change to submit a help desk ticket?
You come to the service catalog to submit any number of different kinds of tickets. If employee name change is the one that you need, then you would come to the service and then hit submit a ticket, and then fill out this form here to hit submit. Okay? The service catalog has at least 70 plus.
Yeah, 67 services.
67-ish services, okay. And they're sort of broken out by category. So think about any time you've gone to Amazon or Walmart.com, you don't see a giant list of everything that's on that site, right? You see categories. You see, technology versus, furniture versus, so on, right? And based on what you're looking for, you engage with that category. It's a similar schema here. So I'm an employee, and I need help with accounts, passwords, and system access. Fair enough. This is my category. I see some subcategories or some other items that I may want to engage with. I can arrive at that service and then submit the ticket. Okay. Now that's at least one path. I'm going to quickly go over all the paths. You have your service catalog hierarchy here. Okay. You have the site-wide search up here. Okay. You have the services A to Z list here, which is an alphabetical list of all the services. Okay. You have a search within the services list here. And then you also have in various places links to those services, such as over on the home page, where you might have popular services, popular articles, things like that. So there's at least 6 paths to get to a lot of these different services. Okay. The point being that if they're coming here and they're submitting a service, hopefully they're reading that service description, hopefully they're able to look at knowledge base, hopefully they're able to solve it themselves. If they're not, we're here to help. Okay? But at least we gave them the opportunity to view some of those resources. And the more helpful we make this, the more likely they are to engage and not put a ticket in the wall. Okay? I know knowledge base is not the reason y'all jumped out of bed, ready to take on the world this morning. I realize that, it can be tough. There's probably more urgent things that you could do with your day, but there's probably not too many things that are of higher value, right, or are of more strategic importance, right? So, there was actually a gal. What was that gal's name in the back? HR, I think.
Oh, Elaine,
Eileen?
Elaine,
Elaine.
Yes.
Well, Elaine was ecstatic when we were sort of talking about this knowledge base, because she's talking about all of these rather trivial transactional things that she could document, and that it would save her loads of time to actually do the things she's there to do. Right? She's not there to help people do this little task here or solve this little troubleshooting question here. She's really there to make sure people get paid on time. Right? Make sure that the HR communications are going well. Right? So I know this is probably not making you do cartwheels internally, but this is incredibly important to the institution and to, adding some bandwidth to our resources.
I'm excited too. I'm excited too.
Louise is excited as well.
Mm-hmm.
You guys know that?
You look excited,
You guys can also start coming in here to start generating tickets for your groups. If you generate tickets, I ask you guys please put the word test, actually, in the beginning of your tickets, so we know they're not production tickets. Whatever you do, don't put any tickets right now in Workday Student because they are live. They've started using the product for ticketing immediately. We're planning a soft opening of people start using this maybe a week prior to October 3rd. Cindy's working over with our help desk vendor to find out what might be best. And so we're going to keep both environments at least overriding over at the same time, at least for a week or two, to make sure there's any issues to always drop back. I don't foresee any, right, Marcus? Great. So, but going to start creating tickets so you start seeing the workflow. So, some certain tickets, Marcus will cover, will have tasks associated with them, like a name change. We'll go to Cindy, and Cindy will do something, and then it'll be passed to someone else. So we do have workflows and tasks associated with them, and with certain tasks. So if you guys have tickets too, you want to associate it with workflows or tasks, send me an email, we'll sit down, and we'll develop what you need to have done.
We want the tool to be an empowerment, an enabler for you to manage your work, right? Not a barrier. So, if you're having something that, it's not working or something's missing or something like that, let us know. Chances are there's something we can do to help. So this is the client side. The big things on this side for the broader audience of our students, staff, faculty, things like that, is specifically the homepage, services, knowledge base, and then questions, where people can actually come here and just post questions, and then Cindy is bravely volunteered to monitor that and sort of help people out as she can. Right, so that's main avenue number one for tickets to come in. People can come to this service catalog, visit any of those services they have access to, and generate a ticket. That ticket will then show up in home base, the view where we're just looking at over here.
And we're still taking phone calls, and we also have live chat. So we haven't cut them all the way off.
Now, main avenue path number two, right, is you as a technician or someone at branch dad, right, might need to just generate a ticket. Maybe you're tracking your own bit of work, or you got a call or something, right? And that can be done by clicking New Incident here, if it's an incident, or New an Incident here. It's the same thing. Okay? And if you are wanting to create a service request or problem, you can do that here as well. Most of your tickets are probably going to be incident, so I'm going to click New Incident.
I'm sorry, can you back up on your feet? Because I'm thinking where you just were you create there, now we're creating here. So this is word. What's the difference again?
So if you, so she's asking, what's sort of the difference between the two paths? The first path was service catalog. What's this path here? So over here, we're in TD Client. This is the client portal. You can absolutely, if this is what you'd like to do, come here and generate tickets. That'll work just fine. Okay? This is really for more of the broader community. Like students, faculty, staff. You as a technician, and more likely are going to be here on this side over in TDX.
It's the same thing.
It's very similar, except that on the client portal side, it's a little bit narrower. So, like the routing and all that stuff is predetermined over there. We don't even show it. They don't care. Right? They don't need to know. They just know that I need a name change. Let me just pop that in, and then on the back end, it works it. You as a technician may want more control over the machinations of those mechanisms. So you would probably come here to exert yourself on that ticket a little bit more. Okay. So, but you can use either path, and they'll both work for the most part. It'll just be a little bit of a different experience. So on the service catalog, it's all categorized and predestined and all that stuff. Here, we just hit New Incident, and we need to just fill out a little bit more info to send it to the proper place. Okay? So, for example, I hit New Incident, and you could fill in the requester, the ticket type, things like that. So it's a little bit of a different view, but very, very similar. Okay, main avenue number 2, the technician side. Now, this first time when we're creating this ticket, it's going to be painful. I'm just going to say that because I'm going to crawl through the field. I want to make sure we understand what we are engaging with here, so that we feel good about creating tickets is something that's very important. I guarantee that after this very first time that will be painful, that it will be much quicker, particularly when you start using what are called ticket templates. This ticket template here can be created by you as a technician to really help speed up the process for creating these tickets. So a classic example would be a password reset as a ticket template. Something that's very transactional, very repeatable, right? I can just hit template and apologies. I can hit template and then say urgent classroom issue, and you see that it fills out a lot of the fields for me. It fills out the title. It can default the status, the type, who the account department is, things like that. You can build, yep, you can build as many templates as you want. I'm going to show you how to do that a little bit later on. So for now, we're just going to stick with this blank form here. So first off, who is requesting the ticket, right? Who are we serving? Okay. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. The ticket type, this is the nature of the ticket. So if I click on my lookup here, you see top right, there's about 67 types here. We find the appropriate item in this list, select it, and it'll do a couple things. So I'm just going to choose this first one just for the sake of this example. I choose my ticket type, that sets my routing, that sets my SLA, and then at the bottom, it also pulls in my attributes. Okay? So the ticket type drives quite a bit. So we first need to determine who are we serving here, and then we need to determine what we're doing for that person here. Okay? It'll automatically assign it to the appropriate group, right? We shouldn't really need to think about that in most cases. We don't need to worry about the SLA. We do need to worry about status. Now, all of these statuses are probably pretty self-explanatory, except for resolved and closed. Okay? Before I explain what the difference is, I want someone in the audience to take a crack at explaining to me what is the difference, or what's supposed to be the difference between a ticket that is resolved versus closed. Oh.
Resolved is when the problem that is reported is actually solved, and the closed is like it's redundant.
It's redundant. Okay. Okay, could you elaborate on that? You could be right, and you could be wrong. I'm not sure yet. Anyone else? It looks like somebody else.
Garbage is not relevant. Maybe. So resolved is when you as the person working on it feel that you resolved it, but you still need to have the person who reported it confirm that you can close the ticket and it's done.
Yeah, that's it. Excellent.
No,
No, they don't close it. It's just the client confirmation piece. So, what was your name, class favorite? Barbara? Oh, Barbara. Barbara's the class favorite.
So what do? We have a couple of days, right? That's what our current one is. A couple of days, and then it'll, for the customer to respond, basically, or we as the tech can go and close it if we know it was.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the major difference. So you're right, but in my verbiage, where I say the technician has rendered or reinstated the service, that's resolved. So you think, yep, good to go. I checked everything, looks good. I'm pretty sure they're good. Good with this particular ticket, right? Close is client confirmation. Now that could come via an email. Maybe you're talking to them. Maybe they're standing right in front of you, right? Some sort of client confirmation is what drives the closure. Now, immediately, when I don't say this, someone jumps their hand and says, well, some people don't respond to me, and people just don't care sometimes. And I totally get it, and you're absolutely right. There will be a percentage of people who will never respond to your inquiries as to whether or not you can close the ticket. And we understand that, and that's okay. It's not a black eye to have a ticket that is only resolved. we are directly tracking how quickly you're resolving it. That absolutely matters. That is still a big win. What we really want to see is what's the percentage of tickets in which we think the issue is solved or resolved, right? And the percentage of tickets where clients have confirmed it, right, at some level. Yes, ma'am.
Can we, as the user, once they tell us they got resolved and you got it, and we go in and edit our own, they close, talk to Barbara, and it's resolved, it works okay, good, close, done?
So the hat you have on, is that, are you like a student or something?
I'm an employee.
You're an
That will
employee?
probably open it.
So you could, because you're a technician, but like
As
if
long as
you,
you've documented it, you guys are good with it and have resolved it, and I've tested
Yeah.
it, and it's closed.
so
You know,
what,
you close it, but.
yeah, so what's worth noting is we have what's called the email service. So let's say she, Barbara's working a ticket, she sends an email, she moves it to resolve, she sends you an email and says, hey, I think this is, pretty good to go. What do you think? You can respond back in your email, and that email reply automatically gets sent back to her as well as being appended into the ticket. Yeah, so it's called token, and essentially it tracks the token, and any of its communications are automatically appended into the ticket. So you don't have to like copy paste or that.
Great, thank
that nonsense. All right. Very good, Robert. Thank you. Okay, so that's our status field. I think the sign's resolved and closed. Everyone else probably has a pretty good idea of what the other ones are. Okay. The title of the ticket. So this is not the job title. This isn't their job title. So this is the nature of the ticket. It's probably going to be pretty similar to your ticket type. It's probably going to say something along these lines. Okay. Now, we have a knowledge base article section. By default, there are no associated articles. Someone asked earlier if you could attach a KB to a ticket, and the answer is yes. You can do that by hitting existing article, and you can pull in all the articles that are on your client portal and associate ones here if, in case that's helpful. Yes, ma'am.
KB.
KB is knowledge base. Yes, I should have said knowledge base. Yes, so KB, knowledge base. I sort of use them interchangeably. Maybe I should. And you can also create a new article out of the description that's down here. Okay? So let's say you're sick and tired of getting all these tickets, and you want to close this ticket out, and at the same time generate a new KB article to document what content is there, right? To hopefully prevent more of these tickets from coming in the future. So you can do that as well. Now we have. No associated article. So here's the description of the ticket. You can add attachments to the ticket. Now, impact, urgency, priority, these things kind of work together in a cool way. So you can't just set the priority if you want, but what's a little bit more precise is setting the impact and the urgency. So how widespread is this ticket or the shadow of this issue? Right? Is it affecting the whole college campus? Is it just a user? Right? Let's say it affects the whole college/campus. Okay? And the urgency is, work had actually stopped. Okay? When I select that, my priority jumps to critical. Okay? There's something that's affecting the whole campus, and people actually can't work. Right? That's critical. That needs to shoot at the top of our report. That needs to do some different things with SLAs, things like that. Source. This is. Source is sort of how we became aware of the ticket itself. So maybe someone called me, I would say. We also have some attributes here that are specific to our ticket type. Okay? And then we can scroll up and hit save. Was that painful? Absolutely. Will it ever be that painful again? Absolutely not. It will probably take you 15 seconds tops for most tickets. Once you get ticket templates in there, it could take you literally as little as 2 seconds to create and track a ticket. I'm going to show you ticket templates in a little bit. Okay. That's main avenue number 2 for tickets coming in from the technician's point of view. You have your new incident here, or new, and then incident problem solution request here. Okay. All right, so we see a couple test tickets were generated. Well done. So what time do we have? Email, 2:18. 2:18, all right. So what I'd like to do now is reset everyone's attention span. Let's take a little break. I'm going to figure out how to pause this here. Okay, so we're back. I click into home base. I see 17 tickets, right? We saw how to create those tickets, right? Service catalog and the ticket tab here. Now I want to show you how to actually manage that ticket. So you could use your filtering here, save that search, reapply that search. You can click on Assign to Me. Essentially, whatever you want to do to locate a ticket in the ticket app, and then pop it open. Okay. So I opened this ticket. This is something that I mocked up, service training. Okay. And this is what a ticket will look like in Dynamics. So a couple constants. Top left, you're going to see the title of the ticket. Then you're going to see the classification. We see this as an incident. Here's the database ID. This is the unique identifier for each ticket. If you have that ID somehow, it's usually in the email that gets sent out, or if someone has that, you could pop that into the search over here, and it will render the ticket for you. Question? To the far right, you're going to see the new status. Okay? And then I want to talk about this little viewership guy here. So where's Michael? Thank you, Michael, for following along. Shame on the rest of you. Okay? Shame forever. Okay? So what this does is it allows me in real time to see all the people that are engaging with the ticket. Okay? So we see that Michael has been viewing it at least until 2:28 p.m. And other people like Cindy pop that ticket open. We see that automatically reflected there. Okay? Now, Jamil, would you be so kind as to click the green edit button in the middle? And we see that when Jamil does that, there's going to be a different color reflected on his card. So he's now red because he's editing. And we see that Cindy is actually now updating. Okay? So we can see those things in real time to let us know who is engaging with our ticket. We know of other ticketing systems that have this locked in, locked out kind of method, and we really just don't agree with that philosophically. We don't necessarily lock people out like that. It's really more about collaboration. So this is something that you can use or not use to help you determine who's engaging with that. So I'll close this guy up.
Okay, so what happens in what they're doing? You're saying one's editing, one's updating.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning
So,
what, that they're adding content, or they're changing the status of the ticket, or?
Perhaps. So editing and updating are very different things. So those edits wouldn't conflict at all. If you are both editing the ticket, it will basically try and reconcile the differences. So if you change something and then someone else changes something and there's no conflict, you just made a change. If you both made a change in that edit screen at the same time, the last man wins. So if you hit save after they did, that's the one that applies. But all of that is captured in the feed. So there really can't be, you can quickly narrow down sort of what's happening. So, at this date and time, Jimmy, added Jamil as a contact, right? Boom, right there in the feed. Anytime you edit it, anytime you update it, change the status, things like that, all that's captured in the feed. This is sort of the audit trail for the ticket. So editing and updating are very different things. Edit is seen here. This is editing the guts of the ticket. Maybe the title had a typo, or the source was wrong. We see that the source here is set to phone. Maybe that wasn't right. Okay. Now updating is you applying work to the ticket at some level. This is probably where you're going to be coming to close the ticket out, things like that. So I'm going to hit Action Update. And here we can set the status. Maybe we're moving it to resolve. We think that we have rendered or reinstated this service. You can add time in this interface as well. So maybe I spent 5 hours on this day working on this ticket. You can add comments. So I can just bang in some content here in my text area, Right? I can also use what are called response templates or canned responses to help expedite this process. So I click on templates and I hover over initial response, and maybe I just pop this first one in here. So it says, you know, requester. On the back end, it's a variable of requester. Since I'm a requester, it puts my name there. Requester, thank you for contacting Technology Services. You know, in order to do this, we need the last four of the social. Here's the phone number. Sincerely, you know, help desk, things like that. So we can create as many of these response templates as we need to. Now, the thing about these is that admins must create them. They're very easy to create, but you must go through an admin. So Cindy or Jimmy can hook you up with these. You can create as many of them as you want. And we can break them out by category. So someone who is working a lot with Workday asked that we create a Workday category with some Workday content nestled underneath, and that seemed, you know, pretty appropriate for his needs.
And we also attach like a survey to the ticket and then submit it.
So the survey bit is handled separately. You can. It's depending on how you're looking to use it, the answer may be a little different, but I think by default, I think there's a survey profile that will go out. Basically, every other ticket that gets spawned, it shoots them a survey asking, you know, how did you do, or how did we do, you know, how would you rate the customer satisfaction, and like a comment box. So we definitely have surveys. If you need like a specific survey for your area or something like that, that could be created, but we'd have to go through Jimmy and Cindy to make sure that doesn't, you know, conflict with what they're expecting. Yes, sir.
I'm not sure if this is worth revisiting, but I do believe I have the same ticket open, but when I mouse over the little picture of the guy, it's not like updated in real time. It doesn't show me a number next to it. It doesn't show who else is on it.
You need to,
It
you need to
should.
click on it.
Well, I clicked on it. It doesn't.
Anybody else, was anybody else experiencing this?
Try to refresh the ticket.
If not, perhaps, if it's an isolated case, perhaps we can take a look at it after class.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just curious if I'm actually following along correctly, because
It should do what you described. So that little guy on the edit screen, on the main screen, on the edit screen, you should be able to see those names come and go, you know, as people engage.
okay.
Okay? So we can set the status, add time, add comments here. Down here we have notifications. So this is anybody on the ticket, and so you were sort of asking, you know, can I notify groups, right? So you see in this example, because that ERP operations group is on here, right, in that capacity, and as well as client computing, we can notify that group directly. Okay? So the notification box here is going to be anyone on this ticket. Okay, the notification box here is anyone in your system, essentially, you know, just about everybody. And then this option here is for email addresses that you just want to type in. You know, perhaps you're working a ticket and you have a compromised account. You're probably not going to send it to their compromised account here, right? You're going to type in their alternate down here. Or perhaps you're working with a vendor outside of your environment. You just want to type in his email, you can do that. You have attachments. Where? In here? In here, if the group is associated with the ticket, then they'll be in that list for you. So right now, if I shoot the way it's configured right here, this ERP operations group will get this email in bulk. Does that make sense?
But I have a question. So those 12 people are not individually, and you're not part of that group, but I'm looking at the ticket right now, you have to put them on individually.
If there's someone who's not associated with the ticket that you want them to be notified,
Right, like we say there's 11 people, I'm like, hey, I'm working on this ticket. I have to go and enter them in individually for them to be notified. There's not a way to be like, everyone working on this ticket knows them.
No, because it probably would never happen. You probably would be working, you probably would be alerting the responsible group, which would be the group in there. You're probably never going to send like a notification of, hey, everyone looking at this ticket right now. Probably not, but you could, if you wanted to, add as many people from the list and associate them in here.
The groups are chosen by you, from your department. You tell us what names goes in what group so that those get notified. So it should
Right.
have the right people in it.
Registration would be everybody that.
Correct.
But the group should be listed in the drop-down, shouldn't they? If I want to send it to a group, I should be able to select the group instead of individual names.
So, well, there's groups right here. Are you trying to send a notification or are you trying to reassign the ticket? Because if you reassign the ticket, you're going to get a whole big long list of everybody. And you choose from that list and you could send it to a group or an individual. But just a notification, right in this very example, there are at least two groups. There's client computing group and ERP operations group. If you choose that group, everyone in that group will then get an email.
In real life, will be more real. We have to add.
Well, yeah, the groups, those are going to be, the default of responsibility, things like that.
I'm not sure what you're really asking.
I guess if there are going to be more groups, like, for example, I want to let everyone in my office use their tickets, so like, me, including John.
And
John.
Okay, Jonathan?
Yeah,
Okay.
there's Jonathan, Dave, Baker, they
all are already in that group. Registration.
Okay, so there will be more groups in real life.
They're already there. I don't know why it's only showing you the formatting of that in that, but there are, I think there's 86 of them.
Okay, so then that's all we want.
Yeah.
So the master list of groups is what we saw earlier. That's seen here.
So all those lists will populate down.
Yeah, so registration, here's that group.
Isn't it only the groups that are associated with the ticket that you'll see there? Not all the groups, just the ones that are associated with it.
If you're trying to notify a group about a ticket, from a ticket, they have to first be associated with that ticket.
Depending on what form you choose. The one he chose was the name change, which would go to ERP operations. Currently goes to me. It's not really my job, I'm giving it back. So that is going to go to ERP operations. It's already associated with it. Registration issues will be associated to that service, so that category service will go to them automatically. And it doesn't charge, we don't get charged $8 a transaction, which is what approximate it costs us to create a ticket to go to registration, because Randstad does not have access to SID, so they can't help them anyway. So with the bypassing that, saving us the $8 and going straight to registration. Make sense?
So we can notify anyone we want between these three options. You can add attachments, and then I know we can't see it, but down at the bottom here, you have a similar knowledge base that you can associate an existing article, as well as take the content you see here and create a brand new article from scratch. All right, so that's updating a ticket. Edit is editing the guts of the ticket, typos, the source, the title, things like that. Update is you changing the status, applying work, you're tracking your time, sending out notifications, things like that. Right, it's you actually managing the ticket. Okay. So back to the ticket view. We have our edit button here. We have add. We can add attachments. We can add what are called ticket tasks. Okay. So in Team Dynamics, you have an owner of the ticket. We can see that down here. Right now, Jimmy is responsible for this ticket. Okay. But we also have what are called ticket tasks. These are work items on the ticket that are assigned to other areas, other groups of people. So we have a ticket task 1, and that's actually assigned to me, Marcus. Okay. And so I can have more collaboration. I can have help in actually managing this particular ticket. You don't have to reassign the whole ticket. Now, you still can reassign the whole ticket because that may actually happen, and that's done by hitting Actions and then reassign incidents. So when I click reassign, I'm going to see all the groups. Okay? I know we're kind of a little worried about that. So you have groups as well as individual people. Okay? And you can send it over to these various areas. So that's how you can reassign it. Hit actions update, or actions reassign. Underneath the actions, there are some other things that are helpful. Probably going to be used infrequently, but still worth pointing out, like adding classification. That's how you can change it from a service request to an incident or vice versa. You can copy the incident. So let's say there's an outage, you're getting a lot of the same calls. You just want to copy the ticket and then change the requester, right? Maybe that's the only thing that's really different. Yes, ma'am?
So when you change it from an SR to museum or vice versa, does it maintain the number or does the number change?
No, it maintains the number. Yep. So changing classifications, it doesn't change the database ID seen here.
Okay, so it never changes. If its status changes from incident to problem, that number is still the same?
Yes.
That's helpful. Yeah. Very helpful.
Wait, question maybe?
She asked about if it changes from that to a problem.
Right.
Yeah, what if it's multiple incidents with one problem? Which incident number do you determine to create the problem?
Wait, okay.
Taking an incident or service request and making it a problem, you're creating a problem and assigning that to the problem, right? So that you can take multiple ones and also assign them to the problem.
So we're talking about sort of different things.
Right.
So to address the first point, just taking a single ticket from A and moving it to B doesn't change the number. We're good there. That can work all day long. Changing or rolling up a ticket into a hierarchy is also possible. So, for example, this is an incident. I could say set parent, and this will allow me to find all my problem tickets and then roll that up into the problem ticket. Neither of them lose their number or lose the classification value or the attributes or anything. It's just that one is then rolled up into the other.
So problems have unique incident ID or unique problem ID from incidents?
Problems have their own ID,
Okay.
and then incidents are rolled up into problems. Incidents have their own IDs.
That's what we're expecting.
Good. All right. A couple other things. We just talked about copying the incident. You can also merge. So you have two tickets. They're just complete dupes, right? Just merge them together. You can decide which one kind of pertains more. If you want this one to go into A to go into B or B to go into A, you can decide. Probably aren't going to use a lot of these items down here. Matter of fact, a lot of you probably can't even see them. Yes?
Marcus, so when you merge two of them, is there a third ID created so that you can still search for the original two?
So what it'll do is, whichever one you kick it into, that ID will persist. The ID from the merge ticket will then be captured in the feed. So it'll say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ticket merged into, and then that's the one that persists.
So a week later, if I want to look for the smaller incident that rolled into that got merged, you still can find it. Can you still track? Can you still see it?
That ID is actually merged into the other one. So when you pop that ID into the search, it'll render and say that this ticket was merged.
Okay. Okay.
Will it bring it up?
No, because it no longer exists. Who asked that? No, that if it's the ticket that it was merged into, yes. If it was the ticket that was the mergee, I guess, then no, it wouldn't bring it up because that ticket no longer exists. It was merged.
Would there not be a link or something?
It'll just render and say that was merged. That's it.
Does it tell you what was merged into?
It does not.
Can you rename it at that point? Like rename the title of something to include the subordinate one?
Sure.
Okay. So you would just need to say
include. Yeah, and as I said earlier, the feed and everything is searchable. So let's say By the way, this will probably never happen, but I'm going to humor you. Let's say that we merge a ticket and we want to find the merge E. I can still here, with my keyword text search, type in that old ticket, and because it searches the title, the body, the feed, all those things, it would
You still
locate
can
that
find
lower level ticket.
the old ticket.
It's just not going to pop up.
But will it also have the reference that it became a problem? Are you just going to see your original submission?
You would see all of that information in the feed of the ticket. You would see that a ticket was brought in, if it was changed to a problem, you would see all those things in the feed.
Okay. Including the new number of the problem?
Correct.
Feed again is a historical evidence.
Yep. So here, down here, as we saw earlier, here's the feed. This is the audit trail. This can't be tampered with. We can like it if we want, per the question earlier, but we can't change this. So, Summer came in and made some sort of edit or probably a comment here, and just said lots of information here, right? That's captured in the feed. The exact date and time. I can come in here and review this, get an idea of how this ticket became or got to its certain state. Here are the ticket tasks that are current. Again, I can come here and hit Add Tasks. I can see a list of all my ticket tasks on this tab here. Okay? I can also add contacts onto my ticket on the People tab. So maybe I want to, add Luis so that he always shows up in my notifications on this ticket. I can do that via this tab here. All right, refresh is refresh, and print view is printing it. I think we understand those concepts. From this down here, I can update it, which is the same thing as coming to Actions Update. And then I can just add comments and notify people here. Okay. Now, it's worth understanding that this box is checked by default. So what that means is the comments are private, only visible to tickets users, technicians, you all. Right? So do nothing, and you all as technicians can see these comments and updates, things like that, right? If you're putting in sensitive info, or if you're being kind of mean to the requester, you may want to leave that box checked. Okay? If you're putting in something that is, pretty user-friendly, maybe it's just instructions, you could deselect that. That way, when they navigate to the ticket, they'll see that comment on the ticket. By default, it's the safest option. Only technicians can see the comments.
When a comment is made and the box is not checked, is that an email to the person who opened the ticket?
Not by default. So it just simply allows that to be visible there. So I can add notes here all day long, and I, as a technician, get to decide if I want to send a notification. If you want to send a notification, notice the warning here. You provided a comment without selecting anyone to notify. If I want to send an email, I just choose the appropriate item here. Let's say I want to send it to Summer. That warning goes away. She'll get a direct email of this, regardless of what I've selected up here. All right. That is probably 99% of anything you're going to be doing with a ticket. Any questions, concerns? Anything at all? All right. So again, this is us managing one of the three major categories of work. This is our tickets work. Us serving the broader community. Now, I'm going to show you a couple things in here. We have new. And here we can create a ticket template, right? You as technicians can create these. These are there to help you create tickets, manage tickets, do it very quickly. So password reset, the easiest example, something that happens really frequently. I can create a password reset ticket template. When I hit new incident, all my ticket templates are right there. I pop the template in, and whatever's left, I just fill in maybe one or two fields and hit save. Okay. So you could create a ticket in as little as 2 to 3 seconds. It's really easy to use. I don't necessarily want to spend a whole lot of time on it. Scheduled tickets run off of ticket templates. So scheduled tickets are you know the first every month you have to back up the database. Right? You don't have to remember to create the ticket. You just want to schedule in advance, and then on the appropriate day, renders, and you get a notification. You can start tracking your work. Maybe like a classroom refresh. Every other week, you go in and clean the equipment. Right? Let's just generate tickets by the system instead of us having to do it. Right, locations and surveys, those are created, or this is sort of managed by different areas. We're not going to spend much time there. I do want to show you how to create a report. So we saw custom searches. Those work pretty well. Those get you pretty far, but they're sort of an upper level. There's another level. Let's say custom searches, maybe there's not enough filters in there for you. Maybe it's not displaying the exact amount of information that you want. So then in that case, you can create a custom report. You as technicians can do that. Now, if you've ever written a select statement in SQL, this is probably going to be really easy. If you've not written a select statement in SQL, this will probably be really easy. The GUI is pretty intuitive, I think. So there's a couple major types of reports you can create. Maybe you're wanting to report on knowledge base. Show me the last time these articles were modified or updated. Maybe you want to look at ticket task survey responses. What was our customer satisfaction for this span? Right? Give me a chart of that. Right? We're going to look at ticket reports. So we name our query, right? So I might just say, all keyword survey, all high priority open. I could do that. Maybe I want to filter by my area. So I want to choose, create a report that targets, my specific group. Okay. I could do that as well. So you give it a name, and you select the columns you would like to see. So when I run my query, this is the results, or the items are going to be ripped out of the report and displayed for me. So I want to see the database ID. Maybe I don't care about the start date. I want to see title, type status. Yep. We don't care about reviewer or primrest review. Maybe I want the age to be higher. Right? We drag that up. Maybe there's some stuff that's not here that I want to be. So I could hit add. I could add some more columns. Maybe I want to see who created it. So it was created by, and then we'll rip that out and display it there for me. Now, when we click into this list, I'm going to slowly scroll down to see all of the intimidating options we have. Marcus, there's so much in here. How am I ever expected to know what all of this is? Okay? You're not. That's why we have this blue help box. So when I click on this, you're going to see that same list, but you're also going to see a wee description underneath each item to help you understand what each of those items do. So maybe I'm not sure what age is. I click the help, I get to see what age is, and then decide if I want to use it in my report. Now, I've added the columns. This is what I want to see when I run my results, but I need to add some filtering, right? Something that is a little bit more specific to what I'm doing. I call this the open high priority. Okay? So I need to add some filtering, right, to sort of narrow down my view, just like for ticket searches. So what I could do is I could do status. So I'll say status is one of, and then holding control, I'll say new, in process, on hold. Okay. In the title of my report, I also target priority. So I might come down here to the P's and then priority. So priority is one of, and then maybe I want 11. Maybe I can choose that. Okay. You get to decide. I could also add another filter. Some of you are probably interested in this area here. there's a responsibility section in your filters. So maybe I want to know who was initially responsible, who was last assigned, who is the responsible group currently, who is the responsible group historically, were you ever responsible for that? And you choose any or all of these filters. And again, the blue help box there describes what these things do. Now, by default, these filters have an and relationship. So filter 1 and filter 2 must be satiated for a result to return. Now, maybe that doesn't work for us. We could do an or relationship as well. So I could do filter 1 or filter 2. Okay, so if I met either of those, return a result. I can decide how I want to order my report. Maybe I want it sorted by priority in descending order. Okay. I could have 500 resolved. I could have 50,000. I could have 50 or 5. Okay. I can then set the visibility for the report. So maybe just me, everyone with the ticket tab, and me, or me and the people in these groups. Maybe I'm creating a report that's specific for my area, and I only want them to see it. It's just not helpful for everybody else. Okay. You can do that here. You can also have email delivery. So essentially, every Friday at 2 p.m., send me the result of this report in PDF format with a landscape orientation. These are the people that'll get it. So this looks pretty good to me. Just a quick recap. I give it a name. I select what I want to see in my report. I select the filtering. For columns?
Yeah.
So you can remove and or drag. Yeah, you can just remove what you don't want and then add. If I hit add, a bunch of them show up down here and I can just choose what I want to see. Similarly with my filters, I can remove some, I can add more. This looks pretty good to me. Only myself can see it. Makes sense. Maybe this isn't only really helpful for me and Jimmy. Okay, and I'm going to hit save and run. Now when I hit save and run, I see that report bottom left. And I've ran the report, and you see 18 tickets returned. I could dump this into Excel. I could edit that report further in case I don't like my query. Another cool thing that I like about this is if you have access to a report, you can copy the report. Even if you don't own it, you can copy it. So if you see a report that you really like for another area or something else, you can copy it, and then since you own the copy, you can further edit the copy to really be more specific to you. Now, as promised, these searches and the custom report that you just saw here can be added back onto your desktop. So if I click back on the desktop and I hit edit, here's that all high priority open tickets report that I just created, outlined in green. Anything you see outlined in green, that's a custom report. I can drag that onto my desktop. Right when I log in, maybe that's what I want to see.